After a complete domination of Yair Rodriguez at UFC 290, what is next for Alexander Volkanovski? Because he's got a lot of options. And I would say whatever he wants to do is up to him because he's earned that. And Dana White has said he's earned that too. But if he's going to stay in the featherweight division, Ilia Topuria is next. There's no doubt about that. But the question is, will he stay in the featherweight division? Or is that not really something that he's that interested in at this point in time? But Ilia Topuria versus Alexander Volkanovski. I don't know why, but it doesn't sound right. At this point, it just doesn't sound right. I know Ilia is coming off a big win against Josh Emmett. Obviously, Yair's win to get the title shot was against Josh Emmett. But if for the UFC, it probably would be good for them to get that fight out of the way. But at the same time, I don't know if Ilia Topuria would want to sit on the sidelines for that long. For Volkanovski, he's acting like that's going to be light work. And I can't really doubt him for that because he has been so dominant at 145. I don't think anybody can touch him at 145. I'm a big believer in Ilia Topuria, but I look at that fight like, where is Ilia better than Volk? Probably nowhere. But that doesn't mean he couldn't knock him out. If you're going to beat Volk, you probably got to put him out. And if there's one guy that could put him out at 145, it's probably Ilia Topuria. But either way, I think Volk would probably go and do Volk things against Ilia. Another option could be if Aljamain Sterling moves up to 145. But even then, I don't even think Volk, that's not even on Volk's radar. That's more on Aljamain Sterling's radar. I don't think Volk has ever entertained that or even been interested in that type of fight. He's more focused on moving up himself. And I think that's probably where he will end up because I just think with the state of Islam fighting at UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi, still not having an opponent, I think Volk will lobby for that. But the problem is, he has the injury. He has to get surgery. The bright side, though, if you're Volkanovski, you did the same thing last year. You got hurt against Max Holloway in a fight that you dominated in. You needed surgery, or I don't think he needed surgery, but he needed to heal his thumb. He might have needed surgery. I can't remember, but he needed to recover from an injury to be the backup fighter at UFC 280 when it was Islam versus Charles Oliveira. He did that. He weighed in. He was ready to go. And that was the same exact timeline. That was July of last year, early July, International Fight Week, and then made the turnaround to the Abu Dhabi card in October. He was there. And this surgery is supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks recovery, which would lead him to, I believe, the beginning or mid-September. So he'd probably have about a six-week training camp if he's lucky for Islam, but he has already trained for Islam. He already has that experience of going through a camp, training for Islam. It's probably just a couple different tweaks in the game plan that he has to go in there against Islam for if he were to take him on at UFC 294. I think that's probably the most likely thing for him. I think that's the only thing that he wants right now because the man literally has not lost at featherweight. It's like, I don't think featherweights pose that big of a big threat to him. It just doesn't. The only guy that has beaten him in a very long time is Islam Makhachev, and he wants to get that back because he feels like he won that fight. It was in Perth, and he always talks about it. Like, to this day, it's still, you could tell it gets under his skin. You know he wants to get that one back. I think that's the only fight that gets him excited, that could really get him fired up, that he wants to get back. And I think he will make it happen because Charles has said he's not going to be ready for Islam in October, which was probably the first or second candidate to get the fight against Islam in Abu Dhabi. Now that that's gone, Volk, the door is wide open. I think he'll take it. I think, maybe 3 or 4 weeks of getting the surgery and some recovery, and then he could get the fight booked. I would assume within the next month or two they would announce that, because they just announced the UFC 295 Jones versus Stipe in November. So they're already headlining cards past 294. They're probably going to come out with it soon, but they just got to get the logistics done. And if Volk, it comes down to if Volk wants it, I think he gets it easily, because everyone wants to see that fight. And if it's Volk's choice, Volk's probably going to choose the Islam fight if he is even remotely ready, which kind of sucks because you want 100% Volk in there to go in there and try to become double champ once again. But at the same time, you know, this is the shot. I mean, he's come back off of injury before. And, I mean, he just fought this time with an injury, and he looked insane. So I think that's the fight he goes for. That's what's next for him. If not, then they probably give him to Poirier. But, yeah, it's Volk's choice. I think it really is. I don't think they try to squeeze anything out of him like they do with some other champions, because he's just been that guy for so long. So it's up to Volk. I'm just going to say it's Islam Makhachev because that's what he wants. But if you agree, drop a comment down below. If you disagree, tell me what you think's next for Volk. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you enjoyed this type of content, drop a subscription. I appreciate it a lot. Hey, Chad Picks here, signing out.